5, Barb let me know that she's driving back from Florida today, so she wouldn't be here. I don't know about Chad and Dan. That's it, right? That we're missing. Everybody else is here. Okay, is there proof of notification, Adam?
Yep.
Okay, we have a 18-point agenda. Do I have approval for the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mark Cooey moves and Bob Frank seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, in approval of the minutes from February 13th. Any,
I will so move. I'll second.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, you got the amount of money. I did tell Stephanie to come a little later today because we were having a closed session, so. You have the monthly expenditures for all of the food service, Richland County Extension and UW Richland Campus. Is there any questions about those? May I have a motion to approve by consent agenda? Pay those bills?
Make the motion.
Can you hear me? Am I on?
Yep.
Mark moves. Ingrid seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, so we're going to move into a closed session. And I guess we need to have a motion of that, and I will accept today that Greg can stay since he was part of something that was there. So I'm sorry, Mike, I think you're the only one, and I don't expect it to be a long closed session.
The lowest thing.
Yeah.
Longer than that, on the campus.
Yeah, I understand exactly.
Make the motion.
Okay, Ingrid moves to closed session. Bob seconds it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Should be good.
Okay, we've had a discussion on is it now called the federal appropriations request, Sean? I don't know.
He's not.
Yep, so the title of the resolution is a rural development federal appropriations request. And let me start over. A resolution submitting a rural development federal appropriations request for the UW Richland campus.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve that resolution?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Mark
Second
Cooey
that.
moves. Do I have a second?
Glassman.
Ingrid Glassmar seconds. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, so Adam or Clint, who brings that forward to the county board?
I just send it to Derek is how I usually handle resolutions out of one of my committees, Linda. I'm happy to do that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on. Number 10, discussion and possible action on the agreement. And you have a picture of the campus again, because I'm just going to remind you that we did borrow $100,000 and we're only using $18,000. Is that correct, Clint? For the roof, and we brought it up again because they're going to be starting working, and maybe Clint wants to explain a little better.
To the best of my understanding, they plan on putting it on the docket for an April project to start. We've got the funding that was allocated for the entirety of the project. We took action to just do the one section of known troubles over top of the stage at the fire vents or fire draft vents, whichever they are. I forget the name of it exactly. You have additional funds there, but our discussion pieces from last month was, well, let's hold what we got. We can always come back and we can do a change order. But now as we approach April, they're going to have to order materials if you wanted to do more than just the identified area with the immediate need for fix.
Any thoughts on after I reviewed it and thought about it, and the fact that we're trying to show good faith, and we also will have these buildings, and hopefully that building will always be something the county will have. I would like to go ahead and do additional, since we have somebody there and we've got the bid that they said they might hold to. but I don't know what your thoughts are.
So I'm not seeing all of the all I see is the picture. So I don't see, I know there had been a document with the bids. Do we still, do I need to go back? Was it last meeting that we would have had that? Because how much do we have extra?
Second, let me pull items.
I think I put the wrong document on, Clint. That was my mistake.
So all good here. We can still pull it up 1 second.
Oh, here we go. I see it in last month's.
Yeah, it is. And I thought I forwarded that, but I didn't. That was my mistake.
Oh, that's okay.
So basically, it's all the flat roof is, we're just fixing the flat roof. And we have the option to replace it or repair it or,
We don't have the funds to do all the sections. We had the 18,000 covered the area identified where the existing holes are as of right now. To do the other ones, we'd be able to pick and choose of sections. What are they on here? They're on here as 6, 7, 8,
Yeah.
and 9. We would not have enough to do the entirety of the section 1, I believe, the major 1 section. So we'd be able to kind of pick and choose a couple of those corners. I couldn't tell you which ones of those are in the worst condition. Those are the alternate bids, though. I think our last discussions was to can take care of those vents and then try to hold that money that we had in queue for capital projects to potentially take care of other building items in 2023.
Is any of that leftover money designated to any specific purpose or specific buildings, or could that go anywhere in the county?
It's earmarked right now, I think, for campus roof. So we'd be looking to ask if we have a different appropriation for a reason for it, we make a recommendation to finance and personnel. In practice, there's the couple times we have moved it around, we've attempted to try to keep it in the same function, same department.
Did I miss, how much did you say we have over the?
1 second here, I'll pull it up.
Well,
if we got
it's about
100,000.
80,000. 18.
Okay, I was thinking that the project was more than, all right, so 80,000 that we could.
Yeah, the total.
Didn't we have on our other, the document that Mike Compton gives us, wasn't there a lot of other things that we've been pushing off on the campus? I mean, like showers and
Well,
drains and,
they've
We
been
just
fixing,
fixed
that comes out of our other budget.
so there's, we wouldn't,
That doesn't
it
have,
could come out of this though, right? Haven't we been pushing things off?
no, but well, last time we went ahead and did a lot of those things.
Well, okay, I might have missed the ending, so we don't have anything left
Well,
on
we
the
have
list
some
of.
things, but we have a budget yet to spend
Yeah, so
in that budget.
on the dock, it's 100,000 for a copper top roof. So yeah, we would have a little, about $80,000 to use. The other projects that we're tracking for the campus that we have on the plan is for 2024. We have fire alarm system replacement of $400,000 as an item identified. Not currently having funds allocated towards it. Then we have 2025. We've got HVAC upgrades to classroom phase 1 of 3. New building control systems phase 1 of 3. Those coming in at 80,000 and 100,000. 2026 projects are identified as HVAC upgrades to Melville Hall phase 2 of 3. Dehumidifier for Melville Hall AC units, and then new building control systems 2 of 3. And that's at 80,000, 50,000, and 100,000. In 2027, looking for HVAC upgrades to library phase 3 of 3. And then at new building control systems phase 3 of 3, again at 80,000 and 100,000 estimates.
So
Madam
that's
Chair?
part of what Sean is. Yes.
Didn't we go over budget last year for the campus improvements that you were just referring to, that we
I
went
think
ahead and
we
did
went
those things?
4,000 or 6,000 over, didn't we?
I thought it was, let me look back, I thought it was in the realm of like 24, 25 that we'd have decided to.
Every time we have a report, there's some new things that have broken. So I
That's
don't
true.
know.
That's why we're trying to keep the roof so things don't break below. That's
But
all.
I'm not talking about in the Copper Top Theater. I mean,
Oh.
in general in the campus. I guess that would be my one reservation about putting all of the $80,000 to another section of the roof. Is because we also continue to have things breaking routinely in the rest of the campus.
But
And I don't want us to go over budget again like we did, so that I'm kind of I agree with Ingrid on this point for the reason of when those things do come up, it'd be nice if we have that money reserved so we don't have to go over budget.
But I thought we could only use it for the roof.
We can ask finance and personnel. You can make a recommendation by action, by motion from this committee to say, hey, we've got this other purpose now. We'd like to repurpose our $80,000 for this other type of a project. And finance and personnel, I believe by policy authority, can amend this policy to then grant those appropriations.
Is Mike on? Yeah. Why don't we postpone this until we have Mike's report today? Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, the report's here. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
we spent 23,000,
Right.
22,000 went for the boiler, for a
Right.
pump. You know, that's what Ingrid, that I think a lot of this stuff is what you're talking about
Yes.
right
Right.
here. The water lines,
Yeah, it's right here on the
the
report.
last page, it kind of shows what we spent last year. Or last month, or
Yeah, that was just last month.
Okay.
I agree.
Shall we just wait then? Is that what, is it pretty much? We'll
I
just
mean,
do the
no, I
one?
don't think we need to wait.
No, I'd fix what's just do what we're planning to do and keep the 80,000.
That's what I meant. I mean,
Oh, I thought you meant wait till after his report. Okay.
no, I meant, not do anything different than what we planned.
No.
Okay, we'll just move on then, and you'll let the roofers know we're just gonna do that one section.
I will reach back out to them to confirm that we're just going to handle that one section in April.
Okay, so now I put this on the agenda because it does concern us. There's been some grants going to be written for the road to be either a city or a county road. Do you know anything about that?
So we had discussion with the city on transferring that road project over to the city to take care of the bridge replacement projects. Follow-on conversation, the question came up on, well, can the county take it upon themselves to replace the bridges? Currently, the bridges cannot be replaced, and we can't get reimbursements from the state because it's on a private type of a drive. So it would have to become a public road. In order for us to make it a public road, it would have to be added to the county trunk system, which means we have to bring it up to county trunk specifications, which an estimate is of roughly $800,000 just for the road to do that. So the conversation was then, well, let's turn it over to the city. They have a less of a criteria. The roads essentially could kind of stay in place and they would be able to replace the bridges, get the funding, and we're there. But in order to do that, that property still falls underneath the agreement, and our abilities to get funding for this 2024 was windows like right now. And in order for us to amend the agreement, do the transfer through the county board to get the transferred over to the deed, there's several elements then that the city would have to do in preparing that for putting in for the grant funds. It was a recommendation from our commissioner, which I support, is that we hold on it this year. There'll be other funding sources that come in for 2025 and beyond. Do it the right way. So if we're going to do grant amendments and with UW system, include that road parcel to remove that from the amendment, and then we can work through with the city in a little bit more of a deliberate time frame to try to get it transferred and allow them to apply for grants for bridge replacement.
So we basically missed the grant period and we'll work on it then.
Correct. Yes, it's
Yeah.
deferred essentially for another year in meeting the grant, but I would recommend though that we keep traction on trying to
Yes.
work with UW system on the agreement and then
Yeah.
the transfer to the city, Madam Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Stephanie, right timing. Your report. Wait, you gotta talk right into the microphone. What? Put it closer to you,
Just make it, no,
really close.
It's on.
But the people online can't hear.
So we had increased revenue this month, which is good. I did put a note off to the side about some unpaid invoices yet, which would total 971, which would even make the revenue more. I'm happy that we were able to do that. We do have some future catering school things that we are taking care of in April, and I believe one in May, yet two that are currently planned. Other than that, I don't have a lot.
Okay. The other initiatives are going okay then, right?
They are going okay.
Good. Any questions for Stephanie?
Have you been working with the Hispanic population that's in the old dorms at all?
Not too much. I did get an email Friday afternoon that I looked at after I left work. That was from somebody from Health and Human Services, who she said, "I'm so sorry. I just realized that I never got back to you about the translation of our menu options. Today was a busy day. It's Monday, and I haven't reached back out to her yet, but I do have our list of menu items that we would like to offer them. And then some of the take and bake options also, which would be a larger income. And then daily if they wanted to come in and have breakfast or lunch."
No. Good.
Great. Okay. Adam, we have a lot of things.
Right. All right, so the first one is kind of, you have on here is the ongoing discussion of moving extension. Yes, what do you want to do?
Director Hady and I are working on developing a couple different courses of actions, looking at Melville Hall potentially, and also looking at the community services building across the road as the two most probable courses of actions to develop at this point.
Then you have a vacancy.
Yep, so the next item on the agenda here is the human development educator position. For those of you who don't know, Chelsea Waneke has taken a new position with Department of Instruction. Or not instruction, finances, Director of Finances. So she'll be working as outreach with like the EdBest programs, and things like that. So really kind of where she was
Hey,
at.
Adam, can you talk really distinctly? You're hard to hear online.
Okay, sorry. So with Chelsea's vacancy, that will, we have an opening then for, again, this is an 80% position in our office. It's part of our contract. I've talked with the state program area. They are willing to continue their partnership and fund their side of the position as long as Richland County is willing to continue to move forward with that position as well. Within your packet, I've included our Division of Extension knowledge transfer template. So basically this is a sheet we ask our employees who are leaving to leave for the next person behind. So you can kind of see some of the projects and depth of work that Chelsea is working on that she would pass off to the next person as a place to get started. And I guess with that, I just like to know if you guys are interested in moving forward and posting and rehiring the human development educator position for Richland County.
Say yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Sean?
I've been interested in the past in what the community development position has to offer. I think, is it Crawford County that has one of those, and we used to have one. Do you have any information on what that would entail, just so we could kind of see what the options are? And maybe I'm okay with the human development thing, but I'd like to at least see the options and see what's out there.
So the first thing I'd have to do, Sean, is I would have to find out if there's even FTE to allocate to Richland County anymore from the state side. I know they're going through also on the community development side and looking at their model and having enough FTE available to everybody that wants one. So I can get some information for you on that. That's not a problem. If you want, I can ask too about the availability of FTE for that position here in Richland County.
Are those more in demand than the human development ones? I mean, do you have more of those across the state?
No, I wouldn't say there's any more. Over the years, counties like Richland Center or Richland County, sorry, for example, had community development, got into some budget pinches, cut out those positions. So as we've cut out those FTE, we go for an extended period of time and then starting to realize the value that those positions had to bring, are starting to look at repurchase or rebuying into some of those positions. So it's kind of that ebb and flow of where you're at within your community needs, right, Sean? So right now there is some demand for community development where there hasn't been that same historic FTE as we had lost positions around the state in the past. And now community started to look at that as an option again.
I just know that Carrie Severson and Carla Dowden are really struggling with the whole parks transition. They're talking about additional staff there. And so I know that Steve Polstead used to do the parks and he was our community development person.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious about, is there any opportunity for them to help with community development, outdoor recreation sort of stuff?
So there's a remember that it'd be education and planning type help. It wouldn't necessarily be the same as like a tourism economic development. So there's a slight difference between those. And what I can do, Sean, is I'll send you a document that I have kind of explaining the difference between those, and I'll get you guys some information on what community development's role within extension is.
Any other questions for Adam? So do I understand you'll send that and that we'll wait until April to make a decision on this? Is that?
Agree, we gotta have, if Sean wants more information to see what the difference is between the two and if it's even an option.
And right, so human development again is completely different than community development, right?
Yeah.
Chelsea just ended up sitting on a lot of those coalitions that were involved because of the aspect it brings to families in family financial and some of those other things, like childcare, right? It's both an economic development issue and a human development issue. So there's some crossover there. And so again, thinking about where we want those resources to go to, I think is pretty important. So
Am I the only one who wants to compare the options? I don't want to dominate the
no, that's
direction.
No, I agree. I'd like to see the options.
This is just another one of them things, Sean, where we've always talked about is how much does HHS and this position cross over? So
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. It just comes down to what's there, right? And what's
Yeah.
available.
and I will always say, right, I do not think there's crossover, but honestly, if there is crossover, we're a better bet for the county because it's only 45,000. It's a cheaper employee for a full-time. So, gotta just throw that out there.
Mhm. No, good job. Okay, did you want, so we're gonna wait till April to discuss that? We'll put that back on and you'll send out that ahead of time to the committee?
Yeah.
So Adam, how does that affect waiting in not hiring? What's the delay? What things are gonna fall behind or what's the effects of that?
I don't know if there's really gonna be too much of an effect. I'll be brutally honest with you, our hiring process is extremely slow to begin with. Just because there's a lot of steps that have to go through, right? So there's a lot of approvals, not just from here, then we get the approvals from Madison, then we go through, right, to request to fill position that has to get approved then through those. So I mean, there's many layers of approvals because that's just the way the university system works. So the reality of it is it'll just delay the possible start date for either position.
All right. Thank you.
Probably be much longer filling on the community development side if that's the route you went versus the human development side.
I would like, and I don't mean Christine to be rude, but I'd rather like to do Get Real and then have Adam do his, and then we'll have the educator report last. Is that okay? That way, there's things we need to get done with the campus, and it's getting later. So, you want to talk about Get Real?
Yeah, so the Get Real program, we put this typically on our agenda every year because the Get Real program, for those of you who don't know, is a student experience where they go and learn go through a financial simulation. That program itself is held at the high school. And basically what we come to the committee for is to get permission to physically shut down our office while the educators are out at the high school performing that program. Just one of those little procedural things that we go through.
So you need a motion
I
for
need a
that.
motion
I'll
to
give
close
you-
down the
I'll make
office
the
on the
motion.
26th of April.
Okay.
So move.
Moved by Mark Cooey, second by Bob Frank, all in favor. Discussion, I'll just say again, if you have any free time that day, it is definitely worth your while. And when I first came on the county board, almost every county board member worked at Get Real. So it was just sort of expected, and I know that's sort of changed, but I highly recommend volunteering.
And
Good.
we definitely need volunteers this year.
So in the discussion side of this, you need permission to do your job? To
Well,
close the office to do the
Yeah.
job? I guess, is that one of our board resolutions? I think that's just kind of a
Yeah.
well,
unique way.
we also take all our support staff, everybody out of the office. So
Okay.
The educators are doing their job right, and everybody else supports this is one of Chelsea's programs, right? So
Right.
we all support Chelsea, but then by actually physically closing the office to the public is really why we're asking.
Is that a board rule or that we have to ask, they have to act, Clint? I don't remember that being,
Don't know if it's.
There's no
established
board
by
rule. I can
statute
tell
or
you from
rule.
my
I think more
perspective.
of anything, it's kind of a symbolic transparency
Okay.
that you folks understand. So if you get complaints coming your way that you're in the know on it.
that's fine. I just
And
don't want to waste your time.
yeah, I'm just, while we're in discussion, the planning board has allowed me to survey all the high school students there about their educational needs for our ongoing work at the campus and finding out the area. So I will be having a table there for that. Okay, all in favor of closing the office for the wonderful program Get Real on April 26th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
What did you say the date was?
April 26th, Wednesday. Okay,
And talk to Jenny Silver if you'd like to volunteer, because we got
yeah,
any volunteer forms and we need more.
it's great. Okay,
Over 100.
it's huge.
The extension office,
Okay.
currently in East Hall.
Good.
Yeah, I got mine. I got mine in the mail. Once you're in, you're in. Okay, we're gonna move, Michael, campus update.
All right, thank you. And thanks for paying the invoices earlier today. Those were basically heating repair projects for the gymnasium and the student center Copper Top Theater area. I guess main things that I see on the forefront is when I met with Jim Bell and Eric Kaufman last week to develop the building report. Seems like what's on the horizon are a lot of repairs in the kitchen, in the cafeteria area or in the student center area. There's several sinks that have valves that are broken and are not right now not operable. And from what they're telling me is that those are not going to be simple repairs. It's just not going in and replacing a valve. It may take more than that. In some cases, the plumbing work for those sinks are inside the block walls. And so that could end up being quite the project in the long run. I guess my looking forward and moving forward, I'm not sure how you want to handle those things. We can work on getting estimates for repairs for those areas. But I think when we look in the long run, considering that when we get to July, there will not be a maintenance person on campus, nor will there be custodial. If things move as they are moving at this point in time, this seems like a good time to start to switch to have Stephanie work with you all on how arranging maintenance for those items that would be covered in the kitchen area. I know there's also a freezer that is not working that probably needs to be replaced. So I think they're looking at maybe quite a few dollars worth of items there. And I think there needs to be some kind of plan on how we want to move forward on working on those items.
Stephanie, have you made a list of those things?
Which,
What he's talking about?
so,
There,
go ahead.
no, go ahead. I was just going to reiterate what I had said earlier and didn't know which way the question was directed.
Oh. This.
So Clint, wouldn't it make sense to have Randy go out and assess that?
We certainly can. I would caution on thinking of Randy as going to be an option to try to pick up an entire campus, though, if that's.
That's not my point. My point is that he needs, I look at Randy as kind of the caretake, you know what I mean? Not necessarily him doing the work, but I foresee him having to, in the short term, someone's gonna have to pay attention to this. So I don't expect him to do the work necessarily.
We've got conversations as well. We're going to have some crosstalks with myself, Tricia, Dennis, and Randy tomorrow on trying to coordinate and collaborate on some of our maintenance issues here at these two campuses. We can try to reach out with Stephanie as well and see if we can try to understand better what's going on there and try to get some crosstalks with Jim out on the campus if there's a comfort level with that.
I have a comfort level with it.
Oh yeah, I think Jim's been the one that's been organizing the maintenance and projects and been contacted when things are going wrong in the kitchen. So I think he has some knowledge, but he also is not the person that has the expertise to do those repairs.
Any other report on that, Mike?
No, I still haven't heard about the drinking fountains, an estimate on that at this point in time. And my understanding is that lead time for parts could be 6 to 8 weeks. And then we're looking at the end of the semester. So, if you want to revisit I know there was some temporary approval given to at least seek estimates. I don't really feel comfortable.
I thought that we moved to go ahead and fix the one in Science Hall.
Yes, you did. So, but what I'm saying is that from what I understand, lead time to get parts before work can be done is somewhere around 6 to 8 weeks. And we have approximately 8 to 9 weeks left in our semester. We'll be done in the second week of May with our semester. So once we get estimates, again, I have no problem going through and having Jim commission with companies to have the work done. It's just we're looking at the end of the semester when this gets completed, and we already have spent more than half of the budget allocated for maintenance for 2023, and we're in March.
So, okay, so you didn't go ahead and get an estimate after our last meeting then, right?
We've not had anybody show up to give the estimate. We have asked to have somebody come in and give an estimate. That has not been completed yet.
Okay, I understand.
It's been taking a mighty long time to get people to come in and get estimates there, right? Everybody's understaffed and very busy right now. So.
Okay, any other report? Budget tracking, anything else you want to talk about?
Let's see, you should have the budget tracker
Mm-hmm.
in your computers. Right now our balance is 16,697, and that does not include the insurance payment for the building. So I'd say right now, by the way that budget tracker looks, we're dry. Right? If we have to have about 20,000 for insurance later, that's putting us over already. I guess that's why I'm asking questions about making sure you want to have certain things done is that we right now we're on pace to be out of budget by the time we get to July.
And I think, Madam Chair, that's why I'd like to, maybe it's, I don't know how this is termed, a request of finance and personnel to go ahead and move forward with those projects using the leftover money from the unused roof borrowing funds.
Yeah, we'll wait to do that, right? You want to do that now, you mean?
Well, if the reason why we're not getting these things done is because there's no money on the operating side, why don't we just use the money on the capital side?
Okay, so we don't have that on the agenda to make a motion. Can we do that?
Well, I don't know if you're, well, I guess I don't necessarily in a position to give the committee advice, but at this point in time, we're not there yet. Maybe looking forward in your future agendas, maybe a further discussion on that topic so that you stay within your rules of operation. But I'm right now just letting you know where we're at on budget and keeping you aware as I am obligated to do.
I would
So then
say
just having it on the next agenda, Madam Chair, maybe that's a good idea, just so we can figure out how to move forward with those other things.
Okay, we'll put it on the April agenda.
Yep.
Anybody else have a comment or thing? Okay, Mike, do you have anything else you'd like to report?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. All right. Christine, you have a lot of time.
Too much of it though. You right here?
Mhm.
Yeah, and talk right into the mic for the people, although I hear you well, but.
If it's green, it's on. Okay, and I have Sheena Fulsang online, our coordinator also, so we're gonna kind of do this in tandem. She's gonna share the presentation, just so you guys have some visuals to go along with this. This is the FY22 Foodwise Impact or Community Impact Report, which essentially sums up just the impact that we made in Richland County. We do this for every county or every project. Trina's trying to.
Sorry,
This is
everybody. I have
for
way
Richland
too many
County.
things that are open right now, and I'm like trying to share it.
Welcome.
Okay, here we go. There we are. In business, right? You got it?
There we go. Okay, so first of all, thank you for making time for us today to just present a little bit about what Foodwise has been up to in the county and really in the 3-county region, Crawford, Richland, and Vernon. Next slide, Sheena. So Foodwise's mission, if you are not already familiar, is a federally funded program through UW-Madison Extension. We are funded by the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program Education, or otherwise known as SNAP-Ed, and FNEP, which is Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program. And our mission is to advance healthy eating habits, active lifestyles, and healthy community environments for Wisconsin residents with limited incomes through nutrition education at the individual, community, and systems level. And like I mentioned, we cover 3 counties, Crawford, Richland, and Vernon. Currently, I focus on Richland County. Sheena is the coordinator for all 3 counties, but does some programming in Vernon. And we are currently hiring for a Crawford-based educator. But we do cross over. So I am not just in Richland, for example, and Sheena doesn't stay just in Crawford. We are while we cover 3 areas and are based in each area, we do cover all 3 collectively. So next slide, please. Richland County, as it is, or was recently, 44% of our residents experience low income and have little to no access to healthy foods. 36% of the adults in Richland County are experiencing obesity. Around 11% of the households are experiencing food insecurity, and about 19% of the individuals in our county receive SNAP benefits, otherwise known as, food stamps. We believe that we achieve more working together, and not just
within FoodWise, but with the people of Wisconsin. And so we deliver educational programs where people play, shop, live, work, and learn. And there you'll see a list of some of our partnerships in the community. And there's a whole list, and they cover, again, different areas in the community. I won't read everything. Next slide. And so just an example of the impact in direct education just in Richland County, there were about 125 nutrition lessons delivered, and there were about 317 learners. This is focused on second, third, and fourth graders in our area schools, and about 6 settings, meaning not just in the classrooms, but in areas, maybe in school-related settings. So it might have been a school garden. It might have been like a family program. So this is not just nutrition, but it is direct education. Next. One way that we work to increase healthy food access is by working in and with our healthy retail partners. And so one area that we felt that we wanted to highlight was the Richland area farmers market. Just this past, was it last spring? Correct if I'm wrong, Sheena. We were able to get a grant with the American Heart Association where we were able to provide technical assistance and other support to help them start the EBT, to be able to accept EBT. And so after collecting some data at the end of summer, we saw that there were 60 total EBT transactions among about 27 different households or families, and more than $2,000 in local food was purchased. So local food meaning our farmers and our vendors from in and around Richland County. In that, we were also able to really promote the use and even the expansion of our vouchers like WIC and the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program for seniors. Another area that we wanted to highlight was the garden-based education. We were able to get a grant. It was called the Growing Together Grant. And this was, I think, the second year that we just finished with Richland School District. And this through this grant, we were able to build, or rebuild, I should say, a school garden. And through that school garden, not only did some of the science teachers and were they able to do some of their lessons there, we were able to also engage them in some direct education about healthy eating. So that was about 25 students that engaged in this garden-based education. About 146 pounds of produce from that garden was donated either to 3 different sites that served people with limited incomes. Those included the summer school meal service program, as well as some housing sites. And I do want to add too that I believe, we just applied for a 3rd year of grant for that program, for that garden to continue. And we're working on some sustainability there within the intermediate school. Continuing, so kind of to expand about the senior and low income housing, we were able to provide direct education at 2 housing sites. And at those sites, about 50% said that they would try to make half of their plate fruits and vegetables, meaning to try to increase that fruit and vegetable consumption. In partnership with the ADRC, we were able to coordinate no-cost shuttles. So ADRC was willing to expand their shuttle program to transport residents of Tom Woodman Villa, Ridgeview Commons, and Schmidt Woodland Hills, to transport a lot of those residents to the farmers market, and again to encourage the use of their vouchers and their SNAP-Ed benefits, as well as ultimately to increase that consumption of healthy and local foods. And 24 pounds of fresh garden vegetables from the intermediate school were also donated to those residents at those sites. Next slide. And, FoodWise tries to we do use multi-level approaches. And so one way that we did systems and environment this year was by supporting our farmers market managers and just the network, right? Because it's not just the managers, it's also the vendors. There are other people that are involved in our farmers market communities. And so we, I should say, Sheena really took the reins in holding these farmers market network calls. And through that, they were able to support each other. We were able to provide technical assistance, such as with like helping them to launch SNAP. And it was just a really good collaborative effort where these managers across the 3 different counties were able to just support each other, help each other out. We also launched a social media campaign where we provided, you see actually on the bottom of the slide there, those are just clips from some of these videos that we made. We were able to provide, again, tours and just some information about what's available and highlight some of our vendors. And these videos also gave the market managers an opportunity to introduce themselves and kind of what they're up to at their markets. And again, there were about 2,153 people reached through this social media campaign, a good chunk of those being individuals who were SNAP eligible. And again, overall, a lot of these efforts we were able to help promote the use of not just SNAP, but also the senior and those WIC vouchers, which affect our youngest, residents to our oldest residents. I think that is the last slide. So Sheena, I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add.
No, I think Christine, you did a great job just summarizing. I will just explain a little bit more about multi-level approaches and community health-based interventions. As as she mentioned, we want to go reach people where they work, learn, live, and play. And that is an evidence-based approach for changing behaviors, because we all know that we all have eating behaviors that are can be difficult to change, right? That's a community level problem. And so that's kind of the approach that we have been able to do, is kind of layer our approaches. As you can see, one thing, for example, the school garden impacting low-income housing, bringing together, not just doing direct ed at low-income housing, but bringing together the policy systems and environment changes too. So.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, a couple of quick questions. Any idea how many people use the shuttle service?
I don't have those numbers, but we could certainly get them.
I'd be curious to see
Yeah.
how that can be promoted. I think it's a great idea.
Right.
And what's been your most effective social media method? And then what's limiting getting to people to get them this information? What can we do better?
So as far as social media goes, I think that's an area of growth that FoodWise is working on. We just, with time and everything and how our time is allotted, Sheena and I, we have a Facebook page. Jenny and Sandy are great about promoting some things on the Richland County Extension Facebook page. The website also will highlight some things. How effective they are, I don't have, the data on that reach, except for what we've collected, like through the farmers market social campaign. Sheena are you unmuting? Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I will add to that because at the state level, FoodWise this year is doing a specific social media campaign to promote EBT at farmers markets across the entire state. And because we already have relationships with our farmers markets in Southwest Wisconsin, as Christine mentioned before, we host a Zoom call. There's a grant funded position along with that. That was also helped to be brought in by a community development educator in Crawford County. I'll put that plug in. Anyway, so because we have those relationships, we are part of that. So Richland will be part of that statewide paid social media campaign. And I do participate in those planning calls. The social media campaign that we did was just a small one. We had an intern that we applied for funding for a Wisconsin Idea internship program. We had an intern who was able to do that this last summer. It was just kind of trying to get the word out, supporting Ricky and just, throwing her hat in and trying to support, provide EBT, and just getting the word out, which I think, if you look at her numbers for a first time farmer's market, as small as they are, it was very successful.
I'd also like to, you guys hear me? I'd also like to add, not only is it Facebook and some of those social media, Foodwise is really engaged in making short YouTube videos for market clips. I know Sheena's done a couple of them. Some of the Foodwise educators, especially in La Crosse County, they've worked on doing that, and the state really supports that. So they've got some people that will help with the video editing and getting those videos and put on the YouTube channel to help highlight local markets and local things like that.
Thank you.
That's great. Well, I go to the farmer's market every week in the summer and I see Christine there and it's great. I know that Emma is coming to the community center every other Wednesday as a farmer's market, but I haven't been very good. And I don't know if that's enough of one to have your people go there or not. Uh-huh.
We work mainly with Ricky. We're trying to support her first, but.
Yes. Yeah. I think there's just one there's some honey and maple syrup, but there's just one person. I get potatoes and things, but I haven't needed everything, so I haven't gone. All right. I think that's a wonderful program.
Can I ask a question? So I just was asking from experience because my kids were using those tokens you guys were handing out. Was that one of these programs or was that something else?
Yeah, those kids tokens were provided through association grant that I had mentioned earlier. And it was an effort to encourage children to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables. It wasn't, based on income qualification or anything. But it was really Ricky's heart to see that these children had an opportunity to try things. And it was specifically for fresh fruits, vegetables. As delicious as those are. It wasn't for the or anything. It was very much so still aligned with this short. Locally.
Is that continuing or was that just for last year?
Is it, well, I don't know for sure, Sheena's nodding that, yes.
Yeah. I know my kids and I saw other families there, the kids would get so excited about being able to use the tokens for fruits and vegetables. So it was really successful in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Ricky had gotten a significant amount of money to go towards all of these programs. And I'll also say that American Heart Association, I think I told you guys already once, but they were featured. The Little Richland Market was featured in their newsletter, their nationwide newsletter, as a success story, which I think is really cool. And so she does plan to use that funding for next year. However, she also just recently on their site, added like a button for donations. So in terms of sustainability, if a community wants stuff like this to continue, it's really great for like businesses to contribute and do different types of campaigns in terms of even funding like EBT promotion, things like double bucks, which she was able to have some double dollar days, which is when if you use your EBT card for $10, you get another $10 towards EBT eligible produce and things like that. So that's what that is. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So I already have some items for April. Anybody have any additional items for April agenda they want to bring up? Okay, do we have any public comments? I know we have some people online. Any public comments? Okay, I don't have any correspondence. All right, so our next meeting is April 10th. And in the meantime, I'll be contacting some of you about helping with some other things. So Do I have a motion to adjourn to April 10th?
I'll make a motion.
Mark moves. Do I have a second?
I can second it.
Okay, Ingrid seconds it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And we're done before 3 o'clock.
See y'all later. Thanks for the great
Thank
meeting.
you. Thank you, everyone.